Hello everyone, welcome to William and the Magic Box. Today on our show, we're going to have Aaron. Aaron is from England in the UK. So let's see what Aaron has to say. Enjoy the interview. So hello Aaron, how are you?
I'm very good. I'm very good. This is exciting.
So tell me, how is your day going so far?
Yeah, it's going good. I mean, it's a bit of a quiet day today, but you need some quiet days sometimes.
So today. So tell me, what has been the highlight of your day today so far?
Well, I'm one of those people where if you know you have something like this that's going to happen, it kind of you get really excited, like it's a birthday party or something. So I'm like, oh, I'm going to be meeting someone new, and we're going to be having a chat and get to connect with each other. So I get really excited about things like that, and it kind of makes everything else in the day a little bit like less important. So
I get your point. I'm the same as well. When I'm gonna meet someone, when I'm gonna do something different, I just get overexcited. I remember growing up, back in Brazil, I used to play volleyball. And I remember I was traveling a lot with my school, with my team from my city, and I couldn't sleep the night before because I was so excited about it. So I know, understand those feelings. Something different on your day just gets this excitement, which is amazing to feel for sure.
absolutely, yeah.
Tell me where you're from, Aaron.
So I live in between Exeter and Plymouth in the UK, and so in the southwest of
Okay.
England.
So tell me something interesting about your place where you live right now.
Oh well, I actually quite like it because it's quiet.
Uh-huh.
So I do a lot of work in the city when I do my film work.
Okay.
I'm a director of film, but I like to live where it's quiet because then as an artist, you have to seek inspiration before you act on inspiration. So I
I
like
see.
to be able to be by the rivers and the trees and the sort of more gentle folk and people who want to say good morning to you and less crime and just happier vibe and sort of beautiful sunshine. I can see the moors from where I live out the window, so I can see
Oh
like
my
the
God.
beautiful country, and it's just I've just always been a country person, so it's
Wow. I wish I could say the same. If only by window, if I could see like a beautiful
yeah.
view.
I'm very lucky, and I think it's important to know that you're lucky when you have these things. So you can wake up each day, you look out
Yeah,
your window and say, I'm very blessed. I have this in my life, and I should be happy and grateful, and count those blessings.
that's amazing. And of course you have the work that you do. You work with people, with crowd, with a lot of information happening at the same time. And when you go back to your home, you go like, wow, that's a real quiet place to be for sure. Okay, so let's start the interview talking about your career as a film producer, a director, and also as an artist. And when I was checking your profile, it says there, creative explosion. And I was like, wow, I want to ask him about that. So tell me a little bit more about your career.
So it's quite interesting, really, because I always liked being self-employed. I liked to generate my own world and create my own rules, and because then I can work within that. So
Yeah,
basically means that any time that anything needs changing, I know that's because of my actions. If anytime anything's going well, I know that's because of my actions. And that's a good feeling rather than being beholden on a manager or an owner of a business or some colleague or something. I
yeah.
know that, I can take more control in my own life. And it all started really when I went to drama school. Um, this is funny enough, is actually during the global pandemic. And I was like, oh, how do I get into acting? How do I get into that creative world when we're all locked down and we're all stuck at home?
Yeah,
And I found an amazing drama school that was operating online, so you could do all of your coursework online. And
right.
the idea was that we would travel and meet up in person to do classes together in different theaters and places like that. So it was very exciting as well because that summarizes who I am because I like to set my own guidelines and my own work. And
Mm.
I was able to control that coursework and say, okay, so I could do 3 hours today, and tomorrow's looking a little busy, so I won't do any work tomorrow. I can catch up on Thursday or the weekend or something like that. So I was such a great environment to do that. And I did that for 3 years. And
Wow.
the actual funny summary is I got to the end of learning how to be a professional actor and decided that I didn't want to be one. That's what I learned. But that
It's
was my
amazing.
kind of like spiritual journey, as
Yeah.
it were. Is that like, okay, so what is this sort of childlike dream of wanting to be on stage or be in film and, you know, take on these roles? And then I matured through the course, learning all of these different principles and these different facets that go into making a professional actor. And, you know, that journey was just magical. And I came out of it just realizing this isn't actually 100% right. It's that childhood want to being an actor, but I knew it was the right industry.
Right.
And it wasn't until I studied it and learned what it actually was that I realized that there might be another sort of avenue that I could take.
Wow. That's interesting. You're going through that situation. You know, I think most of some of the actors, you know, they become directors. They, you know, and I think you give a big step. Let me cross that very fast to get to the director. I think it's amazing. These opportunities, and I think during the COVID, it was a big opportunity for everyone. Besides the whole, you know, the whole sadness that was, you know, along with it. The Magic Box came out of that journey as well, that time, you know. So I think that it was a good opportunity for a lot of people to find their own path during that time, for sure. Amazing. And how about the explosion? Why the explosion there?
See, I think the thing is like with phrases like creative explosion,
right?
It just means that you're looking to make an impact. So you're looking for your way of fitting into that environment while standing out, being as original as possible. So, you know, like for example, Shakespeare, he said that there was only 6 or 7 stories that ever existed. You know, genres, sort of a love story, a horror, blah blah blah. There's only 6 or 7 actual stories, and that the only difference between them is you, the writer. So you the writer, you the creator, you the actor, you the director, you the artist, you the dancer, whatever it may be. That's the only difference to that art, because that genre of story has already been told, but you are the unique aspect within it. So you got to find where's your explosion. And you know, we talk about being seen, being discovered, being in the right room, who you know, you know, to get into the industry. And really, that's what you should be working on, is self. You could be in the room with as many people who are big producers or you know, great writers, big actors, you know, who potentially will see something in you and help your dream go forward. But if you're not working on yourself and you're not creating that explosion from within, then there's nothing for them to invest in. So you have to work on the self every single day and always be a slightly better version of the you from yesterday.
Wow. You just made me realize now, every interview I do here is a big explosion, interview.
And I've really enjoyed them as well. I've been watching some of your old interviews, and they're just, it's just nice. It's you're showing people that in the world that we are all human, that there's so many stories to tell, and all of the negativity that we, of course, have to see in media and in the news, in politics, etc. That's not what every aspect of the human race is. There's also beauty and love and art, and you can see that in your videos. You're asking people, just who are you? Just tell me about who you are, and you're just spending those, you know, 30 minutes, 40 minutes just connecting with another person, and it's beautiful.
Oh, thank you. I think the platform here, I think it's a place where people, they can be their true self without any judgments. Like here, you can express the way you are. I think that's the beauty of the show. That's what I like the most. People that just come here and have explosion all the time.
Yeah.
Aaron, are you ready to go on a beautiful journey through your memories in life and share your point of views?
I absolutely am.
Amazing. Welcome to William and the Magic Box. So I have here my best friend. Run the fun questions. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to play a song just for us to explode before the first question, okay? Let's do it. Yes, you can always dance with me. So before we start the game, during the journey, if it comes up a question that you don't want to talk about, you don't want to answer, always can change, okay?
No worries.
Right, first question is, what keeps you up at night?
Oh, wow. That's a big question. So that's like being a creative person relatively near the beginning of my journey. I've had a lot of success the past year or so. You know, I've still got a long way to go. So what keeps me up at night is, you know, trying to live up to my own potential. And when you are an artist, whether it's an actor, a writer, or director, the first thing you think about when you wake up is your career. It's just part of who you are. You know, you're thinking about what can I do for my art today? And sometimes that's even before you think about family or, you know, what I'm going to have for breakfast. It's just there. It's just part of you. And I think that's what keeps me up at night is, you know, did I do enough today?
Mm-hmm.
So what I always try to do is every 3 months, I sit down with myself and I think about how many things I've achieved in those 3 months period. Because one day is very tricky to calculate. And even 1 month, which is only, you know, 4 weeks, is tricky to calculate. But if you take those, you know, each quarter of a year or every 3 months, the list is actually quite large when you start to write it down. You say, oh, I was in these festivals and I made this new contact and I was on set doing this film and I managed to get a new cinematographer, whatever it is you achieved. You can look at that and then suddenly you sleep a little better because you can start to feel a bit more proud of yourself. And I also think that comes with age as well. So as you get slightly older, like I'm leaving my 20s now, and you'll probably remember this feeling. It calms down. You start to be a little bit okay with who you are, and you don't feel the need to necessarily prove yourself quite as hard. And that's a good feeling. So I think I had it a lot more through my early 20s than I do now.
Right.
But I think I sleep better now.
So tell me, what has been the highlight of your last 3 months?
Well, in March, we did a premiere for my first 4 short films.
Wow.
And that was a pilgrimage that I did in 2024. So from March to March, in a 1 year period, exactly 365 days, I said, from the moment we pick up the camera to the moment it screens at the premiere, we're going to make 4 short films as a team. And my team at the time was about 5 people. That's about it, including myself.
Yeah.
And over the course of that year, people see that you're goal orientated. So everyone you meet, you just say, hey, this is who I am. I'm spending a year doing this. By the end of the year, I'm going to have a premiere and I'm going to do 4 short films. Wow. And to start with, a lot of people say, that's crazy. How are you going to do that? Most of us are only doing a handful of short films. You know, our pre-productions are usually 6 months. Your pre-production's only going to be a few weeks or whatever. And, but we did do it and we achieved it and we made 4 films. And by the end of it, we had actually worked with nearly 70 people over the year who all signed on because they saw that vision. They saw that we were goal orientated. And, you know, some people are lost in the world. And if somebody else has a goal, they'll latch onto that because they can get something out of it. So some people wake up and they have no purpose or they're not sure what they want to do. And that's why, like, that's kind of the main thing with leadership, I think, is like when you're in a position where you are the director or you are responsible for the people on set, it's gentle nudges rather than big pushes that are going to make the big difference. Yeah. And that's what I've really found throughout the year. So I feel like, yeah, my biggest achievement, of course, was that premiere. But now moving on to working on building up a feature film so that we're actually going to end up making cinema releases. So it's an exciting period, but it's a little bit transitionary as well, which means it's a little bit scary. So this past 3 months has been a bit scary because while I had that year period, I knew what I was focusing on. Right. I had a goal. But now it's, okay, what's the next steps and preparing for the next steps. So it's a little bit scary again, but, you know, still good.
It's part of the journey, for sure. Yeah. Next question. Let's do it. Okay, next question is, who are you most thankful for and why?
Probably my dad, I think, because we work together. He runs the set and makes sure that the set runs correctly in the business. And then I run the creative stuff. And unless you have that person in your life, the pen pusher, I think you could call it, the academic person who is making everything run so that you can do your art.
Right.
You know, that person's very important. And the
Mm-hmm.
fact that I get to do that every day with my own dad is absolutely incredible. And
Wow.
you know, I've never worried about that dynamic either, because some people would say, "Oh, working with your dad, what's that like?" And we actually call him Rusty on set. So instead of me being like, "Dad, I need some cables," and everyone sees me do that, I can kind of be like, "Rusty, I need that now. Can you please get it for me?" And it works a little bit better. But it's been a joy because we can grow together. So he can see my progress, and he's always telling me he's proud of me, which is very lovely.
Mm-hmm.
And I can sort of tell him areas that need improving too. So because we're both adults now, that dynamic, it changes. And it's a very beautiful relationship. And I think, you know, one day I'm going to look back and I'll be saying, oh, I'm so glad in my early career that I was working with my dad every day, because, you know, we don't last forever, and we do sadly lose people in life. The pandemic teaching us about that, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm just so grateful for that relationship and how it's grown, basically.
Okay, so your dad is watching this interview right now. We have a moment.
Yeah. Brownie point.
What would you say?
Ooh. What would I say? Just, you know, never give up. You know, we are all, it's not about age. We can all grow and we can all develop at any point. And it doesn't matter whether we are growing because of our fathers or whether we're growing because of our sons. And that's basically what I would say, is just, you know, don't give yourself a hard time. Make sure you take the moment to give yourself a pat on the back and be proud of your own work and not just everybody else's.
Beautiful. Amazing. Next question. Let's do it. Okay, so before the next question, let's do a game. Let's pretend now, okay, that you're gonna put together a scene, a short movie that you know you have the biggest budget. You can pay anyone, any actor, actress in the world. You're gonna choose, and you're gonna be part of it as well. So you can choose anyone to play your dad, anyone to play your mom, anyone to play your romantic partner, and also you're gonna pay anyone director in the world to join you as well in this project, you know, to get it done in the end. So tell me those names.
Oh, wow. Well, see, here's the thing is, and I probably can think of some, because there's some actors I really love. Realistically, I would give it to actors who haven't had an opportunity. You know what I mean? So you bring people with you so that they can have a good life too. But if it was going to be celebrities, wow.
You can pay anyone. The budget is really big, so you can pay anyone.
I think my dad, he would kind of be like, not now, but when he was a bit younger, David Jason, who played Del Boy in Only Fools and Horses.
Okay.
Kind of like a Londoner character, very, you know, well-dressed, really kind of suave. And he can, because my dad, you know, he's a producer. He can go in a room and he can say, I've got 3 people who want to work with us. And I'm like, oh, hello, nice to meet you. So you need someone who's a little bit suave and a little bit, you know, debonair. Oh, blimey. Romantic partner. Oh, that's a...
Your mom as well?
Oh, and a mum, yes. So, who could play a mum? Helen Mirren is really good.
Wow.
I think she's quite powerful. And, you know, she could bring a lot of those wonderful British things with her as well, like the sort of humor that we have and the cup of tea and all of that. Would be really fun to play around with. And also, I just think she'd be really good to work with. So yeah, you got David Jason and Helen Mirren going old school here. I'd quite like to be, if I was being played, probably Matt Smith, who played Doctor Who, because he's got the big hair, and.
But you are part of it. You are the one part of it as well. So.
Oh, I did it. Okay.
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't. Do I have to play myself though?
Yeah, you play yourself, of course. You're part of it.
Yeah, so he's a bit older than me, so maybe he could tell my future story. So
there
it could be when I'm younger, and then it can.
Yeah, right. So your romantic partner.
Romantic partner. Oh, that's the tough one. That's the really tough one, because you need someone really strong. Hmm. Oh, I don't. I don't know. I actually don't know. I couldn't even think of it. It's just complete blank. Yeah.
And the biggest director to help yourself to get all together. A big, you know what I mean, names to get to.
Big director that I would like to work with. There's one called Bill Condon who's very good. He did the Twilight movies, the last two Twilight movies.
Okay.
He's very good. Of course, everyone would like to work with Spielberg. You know, Steven Spielberg. That would be absolutely amazing too. But I have worked with a lot of very good directors, and I think some of them I'd like to bring back. You know, so some of the bigger directors that I've worked with when I was acting,
I see,
are probably the ones I would ask to actually come back. But I think, yeah, the big ones, you know, Spielberg, George Lucas, J.J. Abrams, those kind of directors.
The budget's going down low, okay? You put too many names there.
Oh, there you go. I'll take the pay cut. If I can work with them, I'll take the pay cut.
Perfect. Okay. Next question is, who is your biggest idol and what have you learned with this person?
Oh, wow. So when I started acting during drama school, it was actually in about 2018. And I had my first job, which was on Poldark, which is a British, you know, sort of British TV show. And the main actor in that, Aidan Turner, was someone I watched growing up. He plays Poldark. I watched him growing up. He was in things like Being Human, and eventually he was in the Hobbit movies. So I really idolized him. I thought he was fantastic. And in that era in my life, I was actually very ill. I would spend a lot of time in hospital, and I was about 22 stone. So I was really heavy as well from the medication that I was taking. Wow. And I really did not feel much like an actor at all because of that. But we all grow. We're all in different stages in our lives. And I remember being on set with him, and I went up to him and I just said, "Hey, Aidan, I really love your work. It's just really great to be able to watch you today. You're a big inspiration to me." And he pulled me aside, and he took me away from the cameras, and he took me away from all of the, you know, other actors, and he wanted to have a more private moment. He was like, wanted to show I'm a person too. Let's walk away from the cameras so we can just talk together. And he just said, look, you know, don't think about any of the glamorous stuff. Just wipe it out of your mind. Even when you're enjoying it, take your 2 minutes, and when you wake up tomorrow, bin it. So if you go to a big party or a premiere or a festival or you win an award, bin it. You know, take that moment of, oh, wow, look at this. I did really well. This is amazing. And then when you wake up in the next day, only keep your goals. You know, only keep the people that got you there. Think about, you know, your best friends on set, the ones who did the overtime with you, the ones who have been editing for hours and hours and hours, the actors who have done amazing performances. They're a lot more important than, you know, a shiny piece of plastic that you get from an award. It's great to get recognition, of course.
I like that.
I've never forgotten that. So I think when working with Aidan, I think because of that message that he gave me, I would consider him to be an idol for that.
I really like that. I like this message. I think, you know, it's okay to get to this point where you feel, as you said, glamorous, you feel nice, you feel great. However, put it on the side and carry on with the goal. Don't distract yourself with a moment.
Yeah, exactly. When I won my first award, it meant a great deal to me. I remember going to the festival and needing that recognition, you know, really needing that applause, that, well done, your film is great. Here is the proof. And every award that we've won after that is kind of bonus. I don't have any attachment to that because it's the work itself that matters. And I think, oh, I can't wait to tell my actors we won tonight, or I can't wait to tell my crew that that the work and the effort that they put in is being recognized, and that's a lot more important.
Totally. 3 questions left. Let's do it. All right. Next question is, What did you want to be growing up?
So the thing is, when I was growing up, I was quite a sad child. I didn't see much good in the world. I didn't grow up in particularly great circumstances. And yeah, so it's quite sad. From a very young age, I sort of gave up already.
Wow.
Certainly wouldn't believe that I'd have the achievements that I do have now. But I guess there always was that love of, the only thing I owned was a TV and a VHS player and a handful of tapes. And I would watch the same 4 or 5 tapes over and over again. And I would dissect them, and I would look at the story and the acting and the pacing and the editing and how they made it. And I guess that was really the one thing that kind of like helped me escape from the sort of the world around me. But at the same time, this is the thing about escapism that people don't really understand. It actually opens your world. You are escaping. Yes, you're sidestepping into Star Trek or Lara Croft or Harry Potter or Tolkien's world of Middle Earth. But actually, what if they are a good director and it's a good story? It's going to tell you more about who you are. It's going to help you define your relationships and the way that you behave in your life and the interactions that you have. It's going to teach you about right from wrong and good guys and bad guys. And therefore, I don't know if it is actually escapism or whether it is just encapsulating a piece of being human.
Saying that, what's the biggest joy of being you? What do you like the most about being Aaron?
What do I love about being me? I'm just a bit silly, I think. I think I can walk into a room and just, it doesn't matter what the vibe is in there. I tend to walk in and just be a bit silly and a bit fun and just kind of see the good in the world. And it took a long time to get that optimism. Yeah. And I think what I've loved about that is I've seen that help improve my friends' lives and my family's life. And I think that's my favorite thing, is that like, if you have an infectious personality or you're maybe slightly stronger than some other people are feeling, you can give that to people. It irradiates from you and it will just bring more love into the world. So I think that's my favorite thing about myself.
Beautiful. 2 questions left. Let's do it. When I was checking your profile, I could see you have a child, you have a daughter.
Yes, yes. Yeah.
So what's the biggest joy of being a dad?
I think it's, again, because I didn't have much of a great childhood, I can make sure that hers is. She's a wonderfully happy child. She gets to have all of those childhood things that are just so, are so beautiful. She gets to go to clubs and she gets to hang out with her friends, and she gets to be a little silly sometimes, a little naughty sometimes, and then she goes to bed always knowing that she's loved. And I think that is the best thing about being a parent. But it's just how nice she is, When people say, oh, she's like her dad or she's like her mum, I never thought it was as true as it is, They really are a reflection of who we are. And when that bounces back at you, sometimes it can teach you some lessons, but sometimes you can learn to love yourself. And I think our children can help us learn to love ourselves if we are receptive to it, And I think that's the best thing about being a dad, really.
So tell me, what has been the most meaningful lesson you've learned from her so far?
I think just like the importance of stories, When I'm writing, I sometimes get stuck in my adult brain. And the most important question that children ask is why? All the time. Why? And if you do that as a writer, you're going to get such beautiful answers. And every single time I kind of get a writer's block or I can't think of something, I'll go to my daughter's room and I'll just talk to her, and she'll just come up with innocent little stories that, I can convert them into horrors. I can take the theme and I can dissect it. But she's saying, oh, why is this character interacting with this character this way? Oh, she stole her, blah, 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 or whatever it is. And that, I'm able to play through her, which means that when I go back to typing, I'm able to then generate more magic and stories from myself. So she's kind of like a battery, really. But the most important lesson is just play and keep asking questions.
It's like it's a big inspiration for you to be around her, for sure. Imagine talking. Once somebody told me once, when you feel sad or you feel melancholic for some reason, sit down with a 5-year-old child
Yeah.
or with an 80-year-old elderly person. Trust me, you're gonna come back feeling great again. You're gonna learn a lesson. You're gonna see how life is beautiful. You know, so either way, 5-year-old, you know, like child, or a elderly person, like a 80, or you know, elderly person. And I totally agree. I think there's always a lesson to learn from them for sure, every single day. And I'm sure you know very well that.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially with the elderly people, because they're always calm.
Totally.
They've learned the
Yeah,
lessons. They're calm themselves. You don't
yeah,
ever see them quite get as irate as we do, or quite as passionate as we are.
totally.
And they've just got that sense of peace
Yeah,
generally. And it's just nice to soak that in sometimes.
beautiful. Next question is, what's the best gift have ever received and why you consider that?
The best gift I ever received was when I was very young, a librarian gave me a copy of Shakespeare. I was a very angry kid at that point, and I wasn't in class a lot. I didn't go to school a lot, so I spent a lot of time in the library because that's where the teachers would stick me. You know, you're going to be less trouble here. Go to the library. And I was not interested in reading at all. But when I picked up my first copy of Shakespeare, which was Romeo and Juliet, and this is at about 5, 6, maybe 7 years old, I
Wow.
just, for some reason, understood every word. So I didn't necessarily understand all of the language, but I knew exactly what Shakespeare was trying to say in those stories. And I think I read that book so much to death that the librarian just gave it to me. And yeah, I don't have that copy now, unfortunately, but I did always distinctly remember that being an origin point in kind of creativity and storytelling. And, you know, it was very informative of who I am now. So I can look back and be like, hey, I had that Shakespeare book. Hey, I had that moment with Aidan Turner. So I think that's the best thing I've ever been gifted, really.
Oh, do you write every day, or not? You need to be inspired by. You do have like a schedule? Do you work in schedules, or you just whatever you feel like? Okay, there's some ideas, something come through. You just go and sit down and do it. How does it work for you?
Yeah, I absolutely work by schedules because, you know, when I was at drama school, you had to, or you were going to miss the deadlines, you were going to miss the assignments, and I just carried it on
Yep.
into this work. And it's very hard if you're self-employed because you could spend a long time just sitting around playing video games, watching TV, being idle, and that is obviously not going to get any work done. But at the same time, and I get frustrated by this, that we have to spend a lot of time meditating. You have to marinate, you have to think, you have to take that time. As creators, we're like, I want to do this now, I want to get this now. But having the best art come to you and through inspiration or through whatever, through life experiences, sometimes you do have to go to the pub, you have to go out for a meal, you have to go for a walk by the river, or that inspiration is just not going to come to you. I think definitely I always like keep a book by my bed so that I can write in it, because I've done that a few times where I didn't have paper and I've woke up in the middle of the night and I've gone, oh, I'll remember it in the morning. And
Horrible
then I
feeling.
didn't.
It's
And
horrible.
when I had paper beside my bed, I woke up in the middle of the night one time after dreaming, and I wrote down this whole monologue for the character to say. And then I went back to sleep. And when I woke up, I was like, what's this? And I looked and I didn't remember writing it, but it was my handwriting and it was this monologue. It went into one of my screenplays, and eventually that actor got Best Actor for that monologue. So I could have lost that inspiration by not having the resource there. So definitely I write I think I do write every single day, but just sometimes not on paper because it's all part of that process.
Last question, ready?
I'm ready.
Last one. Okay, before the last question, tell me a moment. You know, you mentioned already about, you know, some awards that you won, but tell me a moment that for you always going to have a special place in your heart, in your career. Something that happened, a moment or a connection with someone or a phrase, or could be anything that you go like, you know what, I'll take that close to my heart.
Well, it's funny. I mean, I was reflecting on this recently on social media, and I had this friend, you know, a few years ago, and I started directing when I was in drama school, but I don't think I quite refined how to be a good leader.
Okay.
And I was sort of alienating the crew around me and making them feel not welcome and not creating and nurturing the best environment. And I sort of gave up for a little while. I retreated in myself. I wasn't writing anything. I just was scared to do that thing again. I didn't want to be in that position again. I knew I had stories I wanted to tell. I knew I wanted to direct, but I just felt terrified at the thought of being there again and having that judgment put on me again and feeling like I was going to let everybody down. But then a director friend of mine, he happened to need someone on set for a job, and it was a very small job. I think he just wanted us to black out some curtains, you know, make it dark, do a bit of lighting, general assistant. And he insisted that we come and help. And so I started from the very bottom again, and a very good place to be, you know, a very good place to be, because it's all up from there. And very slowly over the course of the weeks, you know, I ended up doing sound for him for 6 months. But during that time, he was nurturing me, and he was talking to me about why I wanted to create and why I wanted to do what I do. And very slowly, he created one of the projects that went into that anthology that we made last year, the first one, which is called Quick But Painful. And he wrote it, and he felt like I was the best director to make it. And he trusted me, and he put it in my hands, and he was on set the whole time as the producer. And I was back, and it was just like reminded me that all it takes is one person to believe in you. That's
Yes.
all it takes in the whole world. There's like 7 billion people on the planet. And all it takes is one person to believe in you, and you can like live up to your potential. And I'm never going to forget that.
Wow. You know, it's interesting sharing that, Aaron, because, you know, I've been doing the show and I totally understand. I think, you know, I wouldn't say I'm waiting for this person. I think this person, you know, I think the Matchbox, the show here, you know, it's, you know, when you dream together, when you go together, trust me, nothing can stop you. And I know the right person, because I'm here. I love being doing the show, but you're never going to get anywhere alone. And I can't wait to have someone like this, someone, you know, to manage the show, to manage the Matchbox, to get it to another bigger level. And, you know, those people, when they cross our path, I think it's magical. So, yeah. We are recording this interview, and I just hope the right person is watching. Maybe gonna go, you know, William, I'm the right person to join you. I can't wait for this moment. Trust me, Aaron.
It will happen if you believe. You put the energy out there, and it'll be when you least expect it. You know, totally. I had to be in that very low point for someone to do that.
Yeah,
I could have interacted with the same person, and if I closed off, or I hid my feelings, or I wasn't open or receptive to talk about what I was going through, then he wouldn't have been that person to help project my career. So it's so finite. It has to be something magical. It has to have a spiritual energy to it, because of the odds of it happening are so low.
Totally. By the way, it was a hint for you, this, okay? What I just said now, okay?
Yeah, no, I got it. I like it. I like it. The cogs are turning. The cogs are turning.
There's always something behind when you made a comment. Last question is, what's the best advice have you ever given to someone?
So once again, this advice is coming from that person, but it's the advice I give now, which is if you want to make something and you want to create something, just do it. There's a power to that. It does not have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be exactly what you want, you know, 100% want it to be, but go out and create, you know, do that story now because it's relevant to who you are now. So if you're in your 20s and you wrote that story now, it's not for when you're 40, 50, or you've made your money, or you're going to want to do different stories then. You might want to do war stories, or you might want to do, you know, biblical stories or something you're grown up, you know.
Yeah.
But when you're in your 20s, if you want to do a romance or you want to do something relevant to the age you're at, you have to make that then, even if you are limiting its quality, perhaps, because it's years down the line you'll be making hopefully films for millions of pounds and millions of dollars. But right now you're rallying together friends and doing it for free. That story still needs to be told because it came to you. So just go and do it however you can. You know, we went out and we just went out into communities and we just asked for things. We said we didn't have any money when we were first starting out, and we would go up to people who had barns and farms and community centers and people's houses, and we would just talk to them and say, hey, we want to make a film, we're really excited about this, can we have your help? And you'd be surprised how receptive people are. You know, there was a farmer and he said, yeah, you can use my barn. And we had this amazing barn for a horror movie, which is now an award-winning horror movie, you know, and you don't know. And then you can get cinematographers and cameramen, you can get writers, you can get actors, all perhaps they're studying, and they'll do it for free at the beginning of your career. Okay. Everybody wants to be paid. Everybody wants to generate money. But if you can create, instead of, say, sitting at home and just whining about it or wondering how your career is going to take off, you might as well be using that time to go and make something.
Totally. Down to us. We need to keep going. You know what I mean? Not the universe needs to get the message as well. Okay, they want that badly. They are doing something about it. So let me work together. So that's how things go in the same direction.
Yeah.
Right. It's not the end yet. Let's play now the word association game. I'm going to give away some words. Just have one word that comes to your mind. Quick thinking. Okay.
Okay.
Let's start with money.
Fame.
Family.
Wholesome.
Fear.
Loathing.
Life.
Infinite.
Love.
Passion.
Religion.
Scary.
Sex.
Oh, every day.
Politics.
Avoid.
Friendship.
Definitely don't avoid.
Desire.
Always.
Regret.
Always.
Success.
Inevitable.
Wish.
Fight.
Happiness.
Irrelevant.
One word for England.
England. Struggling.
One word from a film director.
One word. Oh, film director. Crazy.
Wow. And the last one now. Everything else production. One word.
Ambitious.
Beautiful. Let's pretend I'm going to meet your dad for a coffee, and I'm going to ask him, define Aaron in one positive and one negative word only, what he would say.
Positive would be passionate.
Okay.
And the negative would be one word. Self-defecating. What's that word? Where you're not good to yourself. You're not kind to yourself. Yeah, I'm a little bit hard on myself. Yeah, he'd say that.
If I would ask the same question to your best friend, would be the same answer?
I think it would be the same, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Let's play now, Aaron and the magic box, and you can ask me a question, but I'm gonna follow your moves.
Let's go.
Okay, you can ask me a question now, Aaron.
Okay, my question. I've been thinking about this for a while now. I wanted to ask you a good one. So if you could be in any fictional world, like, you know, Tolkien, like Middle-earth or Harry Potter or Star Wars or Star Trek or any of those kind of worlds, which would it be and also why?
Right. You know, you gave some options. You gave some options, which I like it. It could be, you mentioned some different words there, and I quite enjoy. However, However, there is a word that I would love to be there for different reasons, and I'm gonna tell you right now. Avatar word.
Oh,
Oh my God. That's a place I would love to be there for. Oh my God. When I watched the movie for the very first time, I literally could picture myself in there. I was like, oh my God, how, not just me being there, but with all the characters there, you know what I mean? For me
yeah.
to see the way then, like, along with me. I love the whole concepts of the movie. The places, the lights, the nature, the animals interacting with the characters. For me, it was magical. I literally, one of my favorite scenes, I remember the very beginning of the movie when she one of the main characters, she's running and suddenly she kind of gets in front of this animal where is very danger, and
Yeah.
she gets very scared. But in the end of the movie, when they start this big fight against the nature, and suddenly this animal appears in front of her, and he bound for her to drop to
Oh,
go on
yeah.
top. Goosebump. For me, it was one
It's
of the
beautiful,
best.
isn't it? Yeah.
I love it. I love it. I think it's so yeah, my answer to you would be the Avatar, the first movie. I would love to be there to be in that world for a moment, for a day or for a weekend or for some
I
days,
think
just
it's
to.
definitely it's an interesting answer for sure, because if you think about it, it's kind of like it's a bit like Brazil, isn't it? Because it's a very thick forest.
and
It's very big trees, very closely grown together, and so it must
and
be like a bit like home a little bit.
fun enough, yes, where I come from. Actually, my state is Mato Grosso, where I'm surrounded with nature, waterfalls, nature, and everything. So yeah, I didn't think this way, but you're right. Something connect with my childhood memories for sure. So yeah, Avatar. I would go there. I would stay there for sure. Did you enjoy the interview, Aaron?
I've loved it. The time has gone so fast.
I know. I
It's just
know.
again, as I said at the beginning, it's just connecting with someone else, and time just goes, and you could do it all day, really. And you know, when you think about as well is we sort of didn't know each other at the beginning,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
just less than an hour later, you can connect to people.
I
That
know.
that should give people hope in life, because that's all you need to do. That's all
Yeah.
you need to do. It's not easy. It's definitely not easy, but
Totally.
if you can do it, then you will understand life, and you will understand the magic of it.
And I'll tell you, I'm gonna share two moments based on this conversation just came to my mind now. I had an interview with a lovely photographer, professional photographer from Connecticut in the US. And a few months or a few years, I have an interview with a lovely man who is a model from New York City. And guess what? Because of the show, they got together and they made a work together. And they sent me, when they
Wow.
met for the first time, they sent me a picture. I was like, oh my God. And another fact that came to my mind. Now I could write a book just with those situations, but another one came to my mind is I had a lovely man on the show from Barcelona. He's from Chile, but he lives in Barcelona. He's a psychologist, yeah. And we had an interview, blah, blah. And one day I wake up in the morning, I was checking my emails, and he said, William, I would like just to say thank you to you because someone watched my interview and he became my client. And I was like,
Wow.
what's that? So just based in this little comment you just made now. So the power of saying yes can take you in a direct, it can take you to a good place that you never thought about it. So there's just two little things that just came to my mind now, but I could share so many situations that I receive message from people, and I think it's amazing to be here. So thanks again to be able to, to make the time and to be here with me. I think time now is very precious because, as you know, we are very busy with our own lives. So thanks again. It's amazing to see your passion about movies, about directing, and connect with people. And life is about that. It's about connect with others, and without any judgments. Be yourself, express the way you are, and things just go the right direction. Before you go, if you can share a positive message or anything that you live by.
Remember psychophysicality. How you treat your brain is how your body is going to react, and how you treat your body will influence the way that you think and feel. So if you don't know the concept, look up psychophysicality and it will change your life, because I
Oh,
had no idea the connection between how you think and the body. and the body and how you think. It's very important.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thanks again in regards to your dad, to your family, to your daughter, and keep in touch. It was a pleasure to have you on the show, okay?
I really enjoyed it. It's been amazing.
Take care, okay? Have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.
So, did you like the show? Don't forget to give a like, to share it, and also don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And if you'd like to be part of the show as well, first, subscribe to our channel, and after that, just go to our website, www.williamandthemagicbox.com, and send us a request saying why you'd like to be part of the show. And I see you there. Bye bye, see you next time.